Why has an austere German sports coupe designed for new conservatism financial consultants become the darling of stance culture?
Yeah, Stance Nation!
Bottom out over a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, bro, my car's so low I can't use it.
I scrape my splitter on 2nd Street. It makes all the ladies want my uncut meat.
Right. For those who don't know, stancing is like low riding, except not really. Lowriders use air shocks to drop the car down to the pavement, but stancing is lowering the car just a little bit and then fitting large wheels and thin tires to make the wheel completely fill the wheel well. The idea, as I see it, is to make the car look more like it did in the concept drawings. You know, the concept drawings, when the promise was high that a vehicle could overcome the monolithic and illustrious past of its brand and become something that was more than the sum of its parts. But stancing places more importance on how the car looks when parked rather than how it drives or handles. Stancing is for drivers trapped in an abusive relationship of their own lives. It's for people who spent their youth pointing out typographical errors in comic books in the hopes of winning a Marvel No Prize. Here's something interesting. The E36 was one of the first cars BMW designed mainly with computer assistance. And it's got an engine that says everything is broken all the time. Nothing's working. You did it wrong. No, no, no. Which is fitting because stancing a car is a lot like rebooting your PC to an earlier restore point before it was clogged up with registry errors. It's a method of cosmic regeneration for people who feel like the universe is punishing them for liking things. The M3 features a higher level of performance over the standard 3 Series model, you know, an engine and more. But the thing is, people are going to get upset about this M3 because,
Oh, this is a North American M3. It's not a real M3. The engine's wrong. The engine's wrong. The engine's wrong. The engine's wrong.
The E36 M3 debuted in February of 1992 and was puffing out its chests in dealers' showrooms by that November. The BMW spokespersons were trumpeting the state-of-the-art specifications of the E36 like a megachurch preacher rambling to a congregation of J-bros and high school football coaches with turtling erections. It was a car representative of the new self-congratulatory era in which kids receive participation trophies for just showing up. And a kid could lead with his head and still count on being treated to Gumby's Pizza after the game. The E36 was the first M3 powered by a straight-six engine, 182 cubic inch if you want, S50, which produces 282 horsepower. The chassis led to this being named one of Car and Driver's best handling cars of the 90s, which is kind of like being declared the mayor of Whoville. You can be heralded as the leader, but no one will really believe you are, nor are they necessarily going to treat you like one. You're just a fashionable, fun little distraction. Like funnel cake seasons, or Mondays at TGI Fridays with your American Lit professor. You know, that 60-something rabble-rouser whose favorite cocktail is a tequila mockingbird. Don't get me wrong, driving this is as smooth and searing as sensuous as
frying with an N64 controller.
But it's a completely ephemeral experience. It vanishes like breath on a window. And you can try as hard as you want to write your name in that fading breath by stancing your car, but you're not actually imprinting any real sense of personhood on that vehicle. The E36 was available either with a 5-speed manual or an automatic, although I'm not really sure what would be gained in going with the automatic when so much of the E36 appeal is the one-on-one experience between car and driver. You might as well just pay somebody else to bang your wife and eat all the chocolate out of the Neapolitan ice cream while you're at it. Floating rotors came standard on the Canadian and European variants, but were strangely absent from their American counterparts. In addition, the differential and rear axles on the North American imports were lighter-duty bills than their bulkier European cousins, so make of that what you will. And all late-model M3s received subframe reinforcements. But stancing undoes all of that. It's simply a license. Stancing is simply a license to whine about your car not taking corners like it used to. And you better have a lot of disposable income because stancing is horrible on tires. And you're going to have to buy new tires way more frequently than you're used to, or even comfortable doing, because PennDOT-induced rim damage is likely to plug up your glory hole before you even get the shaft through the opening. So if your car gets driven with any kind of regularity, stancing is as bad an idea as trusting your barista like you trust your bartender. I mean, the guy who owns this car lamented to me that if I put 2 people in the back, my rear wheels are going to be rubbing inside the wheel well. I have to roll my fenders out to be able to do this correctly. And the steering rack is all weird because it's broken in some way. I mean, an E36 isn't supposed to require this much steering input just to turn it this far. Something's wrong here. And speaking of things going wrong, one thing about E36s is that the fog lights are going to fall out. No, they just fall out. So the guy who has this said, screw it. And he just put some old, like, dryer hose in here going up inside. It's like, okay, they're intakes now. Learning so much about this M3 taught me that there's a real hierarchy to German cars. I mean, that's one of the weird things that you get when you grow up in Pennsylvania. You're just stuck with domestics all the time. You don't know there's a whole other world out there. And you kind of pedestalize European cars until you realize that most of them suck. The car I learned to drive stick-on was a 1975 MG. Ooh. I stalled it!
You gotta go all the way off and all the way back on.
All the way off and then all the way. Oh, that's gonna be hell.
It takes long to start.
Did you feel the clutch in this? You gotta feel the clutch in this.
Yeah, it's really heavy.
Oh, wow, that's heavy.
Very cheap auto insurance. Tips that guarantee affordable car insurance rates. There are many things you can do to get very cheap auto insurance. Here are a few of them. Good drivers get a special discount known as the Good Driver Discount. If you have stayed claims-free for more than 3 years, you are entitled to this discount. What if your insurer refuses to give you this discount? Then tell them you will move over to another insurer. Any driver with a history as good as yours shouldn't have any problems getting much lower rates. You are every insurer's dream. The mere threat of leaving should make them shift grounds, but if they don't, look for another insurer. Where you live is also a very important factor that affects your rates. That's why insurers will always ask for your zip code. Accidents are far more likely in densely populated cities than rural areas. The same also applies to things like break-ins and vandalism. Different areas in the same city also have different risks. Car theft rate, especially for your particular vehicle, crash rate, and so on. Therefore, check things like these if you're shopping for a new home. Go for the minimum bodily injury liability coverage stipulated by the law of your state. However, in addition, get an umbrella policy. An umbrella policy gives you far more liability coverage per dollar spent. Far more than even the most extensive liability coverage within an auto insurance policy. The following example will address this point. Let's assume that the man of about 35 years who lives in New York City wants to increase his policy's bodily injury liability coverage from $25,000 per injured person in an accident and $50,000 per incident to $100,000 per injured person in an accident and $300,000 per incident. He'll have to spend about $300 extra in premium. But compare this to the fact that he could get a $1 million umbrella policy for less than $300. It gets even better. If he chooses to raise his coverage amount to $2 million in an umbrella policy, he will only pay $75 more. That's $375 only for $2 million worth of liability coverage. See, that's superior coverage for a lot less. That's the advantage of adding an umbrella policy instead. But why should you care about bodily injury liability coverage in an auto insurance policy? People get hurt in accidents, and you will be responsible for the claims awarded against you if you're found to be at fault. Claims awarded could get into the $1 million range and above in certain cases. And did you know that lawyers could go after your assets if you don't have enough liability coverage to take care of claims awarded against you? This means you could easily lose your life savings and even your home if you don't have the right protection. An umbrella policy protects you from such situations. But that's not all about the benefits associated with an umbrella policy. You also get liability coverage that extends beyond automobile-related liability claims. An umbrella policy extends to your home and much more. Belonging to certain professions attracts a discount. An engineer, for example, attracts much lower rates than an attorney. The reason for such a discount is that some professions have been proven to be better risks to insurers. Your agent is in a good position to tell you if your occupation is eligible for certain discounts. Nevertheless, the discount you will be given varies from company to company. Maintaining more than one policy with the same carrier also attracts remarkable savings. All you must do to qualify for this is to purchase your auto insurance policy from the same insurance carrier that is underwriting, say, your home insurance policy. However, take note of the following. Because an insurance provider gave you cheap rates for one policy doesn't mean they will for another. Do some research with quote sites and then discuss with your agents. Thereafter, you will be sure as you make your choice, because you then know which is more beneficial. Do your research well. Get and compare rate quotes from top insurers at q4l.org.